Toyota Supra MK4 looked like a car that was first created in the minds of engineers, then perfected in the garages of tuners, and only afterward became a pop culture icon. Its long hood, low-slung cabin, muscular fenders, massive rear wing, and smooth, elegant body lines did not scream for attention the way a Ferrari or Lamborghini did. But beneath the surface was a machine that would eventually become one of the greatest automotive legends of the 1990s. The fourth-generation Supra, known as the A80 or MK4, was not just another Japanese coupe. It was a car that combined Toyota's legendary durability with performance capable of embarrassing much more expensive rivals. It featured the 2JZ engine that would later become almost mythical, rear-wheel drive, excellent brakes, a strong chassis, and tuning potential that would turn it into the king of countless automotive dreams. In stock form, it was a fast and refined grand tourer. With modifications, it could transform into a 1,000-horsepower monster. And when it appeared in movies, video games, and streetcar culture, it stopped being just a Toyota. It became a symbol of an entire era of JDM performance. The story of the Supra began long before 1993. The roots of the model stretch back to the late 1970s, when Toyota created a larger, more powerful, and more luxurious version of the Celica. The first Supra was sold in Japan as the Celica XX, and in other markets as the Celica Supra. It was longer, more comfortable, and equipped with 6-cylinder engines that immediately distinguished it from the standard Celica. Toyota wanted a car that would combine sporty character with long-distance touring comfort, especially for the North American market. The second generation, introduced in the early 1980s, featured sharper styling, more modern technology, and an increasingly sophisticated image. It even offered innovations that sounded futuristic at the time, such as computerized navigation. Supra gradually separated itself from the Celica until the third generation, known as the A70, became a completely independent model. That was when it began building its reputation as a large, fast Japanese coupe with a powerful front-mounted engine and rear-wheel drive. The third-generation Supra was an important step, but it was the fourth generation that revealed Toyota's full ambition. In the early 1990s, Japanese performance cars were experiencing a golden age. Honda had the NSX, Mazda offered the RX-7FD, Nissan had the Skyline GT-R and 300ZX, Mitsubishi brought the 3000 GT, and Toyota could not afford to deliver anything less than extraordinary. The market demanded a car that would be fast, modern, reliable, and capable of competing not only with other Japanese sports cars, but also with Porsche, Ferrari, and Corvette. Development of the A80 focused heavily on weight reduction, chassis rigidity, and performance. Toyota did not simply want to build a heavier, more powerful successor to the A70. The new Supra had to be shorter, wider, more aerodynamic, and significantly more sporting. Engineers used an aluminum hood, aluminum suspension components, and lightweight structural elements throughout the vehicle. According to Toyota, weight savings were pursued even in seemingly insignificant details. The result was clear. The A80 was designed to be more focused, faster, and more performance-oriented than any Supra before it. The fourth-generation Supra debuted in 1993 as a car with a completely different character from its predecessor. The body was smooth, rounded, and aerodynamic, yet still muscular. The long hood echoed classic front-engine sports coupes, while the rearward cabin placement created proportions typical of a true grand tourer. The large rear wing was not merely decorative. In the most powerful versions, it played an important aerodynamic role and became one of the car's most recognizable design features. The Supra was offered as both a coupe and a targa, with a removable roof panel, a configuration particularly popular with American buyers. The interior was equally distinctive. The dashboard wrapped around the driver, creating a cockpit-like environment that emphasized control and focus. It lacked the theatrical drama of Italian exotics, but it offered excellent ergonomics, clear instrumentation, and the feeling that everything had been designed around the person behind the wheel. The Supra looked more restrained than some rivals, but its driving position and interior layout made one thing clear. This was a car built for enthusiasts. The most important component of the Supra MK4 was the 2JZ engine. Toyota equipped the car with a 3-liter inline-six featuring a cast-iron block, aluminum cylinder head, dual overhead camshafts, and 24 valves. The naturally aspirated 2JZ GE produced approximately 220 to 225 horsepower and served as a strong option for buyers who wanted a powerful and reliable coupe without needing the full performance potential of the turbo model. The true legend, however, was the 2JZ GTE. This version featured 2 sequential turbochargers and quickly became one of the most famous performance engines in automotive history. In Japan, official output was limited to approximately 280 horsepower due to the gentleman's agreement among domestic manufacturers. In Europe and North America, the engine produced significantly more, around 320 to 326 horsepower, depending on the market and measurement method. Torque exceeded 420 Newton-meters. In the early 1990s, these figures allowed Toyota to stand proudly alongside brands carrying much more prestigious badges. Sequential twin turbocharging was one of the secrets behind the Supra Turbo's character. Unlike a simple parallel twin turbo setup, Toyota engineered a system in which the first turbocharger built boost at lower engine speeds, while the second came online higher in the rev range. The goal was to deliver strong low-end torque, a smooth power curve, and tremendous acceleration at higher RPM. As a result, the Supra was not a car that suddenly came alive only after a massive burst of boost. In stock form, it was fast, flexible, and surprisingly usable in everyday driving. The 2JZ GTE engine also became famous for its extraordinary durability. Its cast-iron block, robust crankshaft, and heavily over-engineered internal components gave tuners a foundation unlike almost anything else available at the time. It did not take long before enthusiasts discovered that the engine could reliably handle far more power than Toyota had originally intended. In the years that followed, 500, 600, or even 700 horsepower became commonplace in the Supra world, while the most extreme builds exceeded 1,000 horsepower. This is where the myth of the 2JZ as an almost indestructible engine was born. Reality is naturally more complicated, as any engine can be destroyed through poor tuning, but Toyota had provided an exceptionally strong mechanical foundation. Power was sent exclusively to the rear wheels. Naturally aspirated versions were available with either a 5-speed manual transmission or a 4-speed automatic, while the most desirable Supra Turbo models could be equipped with the legendary Getrag V160 6-speed manual gearbox, one of the most respected transmissions of the 1990s. It was incredibly strong, precise, and perfectly suited to the character of the engine. An automatic transmission was also available and earned a surprisingly good reputation, particularly when paired with moderate power upgrades. However, for collectors and enthusiasts, the ultimate specification has always been the twin-turbo with the 6-speed manual. A limited slip differential helped put power to the ground, while traction control assisted the driver in managing the car's substantial performance. The Supra Turbo also featured a highly effective braking system with large discs and powerful calipers capable of handling repeated high-speed stops. This was important because the Supra was much more than an engine with wheels attached. Toyota created a complete performance car that could corner, brake, and exploit its power in a far more sophisticated manner than its later street racing reputation might suggest. The performance of the Supra Turbo was exceptional for its era. Acceleration from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour took approximately 5 seconds, depending on the market, version, and testing method. Top speed was often electronically limited, But without restrictions, the car was capable of reaching around 265 kilometers per hour, with some sources suggesting even greater potential under ideal conditions. In its day, the Supra could stand alongside the Porsche 911 Turbo 964, Ferrari 348, Honda NSX, and Lotus Esprit Turbo. It may not have carried the same prestige, but it certainly did not have to apologize for its performance. More importantly, it offered the durability and build quality that Toyota was famous for. This combination was unusual. An Italian exotic might have delivered more romance, a Porsche more heritage, and an NSX more refinement. But the Supra offered something different: immense potential, reliability, and the feeling that the engine under the hood was only beginning to reveal its true capabilities. This is precisely why the A80 eventually became one of the most beloved platforms in the tuning world. The MK4 Supra's chassis also deserves recognition. The car was based on a platform related to the Toyota Soarer, known in some markets as the Lexus SC, but the A80 was far more focused on performance. Double wishbone suspension was used at both ends, providing excellent wheel control and predictable handling characteristics. Toyota paid special attention to chassis rigidity, while turbo models received larger wheels, more powerful brakes, and stronger components designed to cope with increased performance. The Supra was not particularly light, weighing around 1.5 tons, but it was well-balanced and highly predictable. Some road testers criticized it for lacking a certain level of excitement compared to more nervous and demanding rivals, but at the same time, they praised its stability, confidence, and ease of driving at high speeds. It was a Toyota in the best possible sense of the word: refined, logical, and capable of enduring intense use. The driver received a machine that did not constantly threaten punishment for mistakes, but instead encouraged very fast driving with remarkable confidence. Production of the A80 Supra lasted for many years, but the total numbers were smaller than its current popularity might suggest. The car entered production in 1993, and exports to many markets ended before Japanese production ceased. In the United States, the Supra disappeared after the 1998 model year, largely due to rising prices, stricter emissions regulations, and declining demand for expensive Japanese sports coupes. Production for the Japanese market continued until 2002. In total, approximately 45,239 A80 Supras were built. That figure is surprisingly small, considering the car's global reputation today. Furthermore, a significant portion of production consisted of naturally aspirated cars. Many were fitted with automatic transmissions, and countless examples were later modified, crashed, converted into race cars, or simply worn out through hard use. As a result, an original twin-turbo Supra with a manual transmission, low mileage, and documented history is now far rarer than the production numbers alone would indicate. The Supra MK4 began its journey toward legendary status while it was still in production, but its true explosion in popularity came after production ended. Pop culture played an enormous role in that transformation. The bright orange Supra from The Fast and the Furious became one of the most recognizable movie cars of the early 21st century. For an entire generation of enthusiasts, it became a symbol of tuning culture, street racing, and Japanese performance engineering. Video games such as Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, and many others further cemented its reputation, making the Supra one of the most desirable virtual performance cars available. The internet amplified the legend of the 2JZ engine even further. Dyno videos, quarter-mile runs, and outrageous high-horsepower builds allowed the Supra to develop a life of its own. At a certain point, its image became larger than its original factory specification. For some, this is part of its appeal. For others, it is evidence that the car has become overhyped. Regardless of opinion, few vehicles from the 1990s have achieved such a global, multi-generational following. The value of the Supra MK4 increased because three powerful factors came together: engineering excellence, rarity, and mythology. Just over a decade ago, A80 Supras could still be purchased for prices that seem almost unbelievable today. Then, values began rising rapidly, especially for twin-turbo models equipped with manual transmissions, left-hand drive, and original factory specifications. Today, naturally aspirated examples, or heavily modified cars, may still command less money than collector-grade vehicles, but even those are no longer cheap. Well-preserved twin-turbo six-speed cars frequently sell for well over $100,000, while exceptional low-mileage examples can reach significantly higher figures. Record-setting auctions have produced prices approaching $200,000, and the finest examples in ideal specifications can command even more. In Europe and elsewhere around the world, values have climbed dramatically as well. An original Supra MK4 twin-turbo with a six-speed manual transmission is now considered a serious collector car rather than simply an old Japanese sports coupe. The most important factors affecting value include model specification, transmission choice, market origin, mileage, service history, accident history, and overall originality. One of the great paradoxes of the Supra is that its greatest tuning strength can also be its greatest collector weakness. The 2JZ engine can support enormous power increases, but many cars have been modified without restraint. Large turbochargers, upgraded fuel systems, inexpensive suspension kits, aggressive engine maps, custom interiors, and countless other alterations have made truly original Supras increasingly difficult to find. For performance enthusiasts, a modified example may represent the ultimate dream. For collectors, however, originality is everything. Cars retaining their factory paint, original interior, stock drivetrain, and complete documentation are particularly desirable. Buyers must also be cautious of converted cars, naturally aspirated models transformed into turbos, vehicles repaired after major accidents, and imports with unclear histories. The Supra is durable, but it is not indestructible. Its rising values mean that purchasing a good example today requires knowledge, patience, and careful inspection. This is no longer an emotional purchase made with a modest budget. It has become a serious collector investment. Why is the Toyota Supra MK4 considered an automotive icon? Because it became one of the most complete symbols of Japanese performance engineering from the 1990s. It was not as exotic as the Honda NSX, not as technologically advanced in drivetrain design as the Nissan Skyline GTR, and not as lightweight and pure as the Mazda RX-7 FD. Yet it possessed something that captured the imagination of millions: a brilliant engine, rear-wheel drive, aggressive styling, immense tuning potential, and extraordinary mechanical strength. In stock form, it was a fast and refined grand tourer. In the hands of tuners, it transformed into a monster. In movies, it became a hero. In video games, it became a dream car. At auctions, it proved that pop culture can directly influence the value of a collector vehicle. The Supra also demonstrated just how strong Toyota was as a company during that era. A manufacturer known primarily for reliability and practicality succeeded in creating a machine that still inspires arguments, admiration, and desire more than 3 decades later. In the end, it is important to understand that the Supra MK4's legend is not built solely on one movie, one engine, or one tuning scene. It is the result of many different elements coming together perfectly. Toyota created a car that was mechanically robust without being excessively complicated. It gave it an engine with enormous reserves of strength. It wrapped everything in a body design that has aged far better than many of its contemporaries from the 1990s. It combined rear-wheel drive, powerful brakes, and a driver-focused cockpit. Then the world did the rest. Tuners demonstrated how much performance could be extracted from it. Hollywood gave it a face. The internet transformed it into a myth. Today, the Toyota Supra MK4 is one of those rare cars that has transcended ordinary technical evaluation. People can debate whether it is worth the money it commands. They can argue that parts of its reputation have been exaggerated, but nobody can deny that the A80 secured its place in automotive history as one of the most important icons of the JDM era. It began life as a fast Toyota and evolved into a global symbol of power, tuning culture, and the dream of the perfect Japanese sports coupe.